Welcome back to another Hour with Crowder with me, your host Crowder. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you're already a subscriber, go ahead and ding the bell so that you can get all of my latest podcasts every Tuesday. Hi, welcome back. Everything has been super crazy last week and the week before. You know, all of those trials, served justice, I guess, one of them at least. But yeah, I'm so glad that all of those trials are over with because it has been clearly and utterly exhausting going back and forth with people online. Like, I think it was last Thursday. I don't know. I had time today. I had time last Thursday to argue with everybody that I wanted to argue with online. It was actually pretty fun. I like debating. I like conversating with people, even if we don't agree. I do. And I found out a lot of things about people that I didn't know. Not people on my timeline, because I don't know, I just don't really go to my timeline like that and argue with people, because they're the people that I actually know. I go in the trenches. Like other groups, other pages, stuff like that. And I found out a lot of things about people is that justice really don't be justice. Like, people that think that one thing is justice and then the other's not. So, of course, Kyle Rittenhouse dropped all charges, found innocent on all charges. He's not going to jail. And then you have the other case, which is the Ahmaud Arbery death. And those guys that shot him, I think it was Gregory McMichael, Travis McMichael, and then some random dude that just hopped up off his porch type shit. I don't know. But yeah, they all got found guilty, every single one of them. And it was like, all the people that were riding for Kyle Rittenhouse were claiming that, okay, well, justice is justice. This was a fair trial. But the funny thing about that is also a fair trial was the Ahmaud Arbery killing. Those guys, the Gregory McMichael and the Travis McMichael trial. That was a fair trial as well. But the funny thing is, I didn't see those people that was riding for Kyle Rittenhouse, because their whole talking point is justice is justice and the justice system is fair. But I didn't see them riding for Ahmaud Arbery's justice as hard as they was going for Kyle Rittenhouse justice. That's just something to think about. Just something that I thought about, something that was pretty funny to me, and it just almost seems as though they don't ride because it was someone of color. Because before that trial even went down and before anybody even knew any of the details of the case, a lot of people's talking points that those justice people was that he was in a house that didn't belong to him, which it was like the frame of the house, and that house that he was in wasn't even owned by Gregory or Travis, so yeah, it's just really funny how one justice is celebrated and then the other justice is just really quiet. A lot of those people was real quiet. If justice is justice, why you so quiet? I don't know. And then the second thing is, it kind of almost feels as though they're taking one and they're giving us one. And what I mean when I say that is, we have the Elijah McClain case. All of his killers are getting found guilty. The prosecutor of the Michael and Travis McMichael trial is being she's being like held to like go into court or something. She hid some evidence or something like that, something janky that she did. And then you got the killers, or so-called killers, that what they thought at the time was Malcolm X killers. Well, what they thought was his killers, they're getting exonerated. And it just almost seems like they're doing all of that so that, for lack of better words, the city don't turn up. Because with the whole thing with Kyle Rittenhouse is that everybody was angry about him getting off. And so, and I think that something crazy happened in a nearby city over that way. Some dude drove into like a parade or something like that, and everybody was trying to paint it as if it was like retaliation for Kyle Rittenhouse case. He was found innocent or whatever. Everybody was saying that it was retaliation for that, but we don't know. It's not enough details on it to even know anything about it. She just ran into that. So I think that the media, or I think that the government or whatever, is trying to bring all of this in the forefront because they don't want the city to turn up. They're trying to give black people and justice to black people so that they don't turn up again, because they clearly was all mad about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And it almost kind of feels like back in the 80s where the Rodney King thing happened, where all those cops beat Rodney King and then all of them got off innocent. And then the whole city turned up. I think it cost the LA like $7 million or something crazy like that. And then you turn around and like a couple of years later, or I think a couple of months later, the O.J. Simpson trial happened and they let him off. So it's like, yeah, we didn't do right with this case, but we're going to give you guys this case. So I think that's the same thing. We didn't do right with the Kyle Rittenhouse case, but we're going to give you Elijah McCain. We're going to give you Ahmaud Arbery. We're going to give you the right killers we're going to exonerate the so-called killers of Malcolm X. And we're going to do a whole bunch of other little things. That's kind of what it feels like to me. That's what it feels like. I don't know. And like I said, I'm just really glad that all of these trials are over, because do you know exactly how long it takes to watch a whole full trial? Like, I literally was watching it all day. Like, usually I watch a bunch of podcasts and everything throughout the day while I'm driving my truck, but no. These trials took all day. So, yeah, I don't know, man. That's what it kind of feels like to me. We take one, we give you one. You take one, I get one. You get one, I take one. That's what it feels like with these cases that are coming to the forefront now. And it's old cases, like the Elijah McCain thing happened like 2 or 3 years ago, I found out. But yeah, let's go ahead and get off into the podcast. And so, yeah, like I was saying, don't really understand like why people still don't understand what things like white supremacy, systematic racism, things of that sort. I argue with a lot of people that just really think that systematic racism is gone. They don't think that it exists anymore, which is really, really strange. It's a weird thing to think that something that has been embedded in this country for so long doesn't exist anymore. And it just made me feel like, oh my God, I think I have to walk back my stance on critical race theory, because if you've ever watched any of my podcasts and you go and look at some of those old podcasts, you'll see me, saying that, yeah, I'm not a big fan of critical race theory, but not for the reason of why white people isn't for it. White people that are against critical race theory, they're usually like, oh, well, I don't see color and I don't want my kids to grow up in that and all. Or they want to just teach white history, or they don't want black people to be in here. I don't know. That's white people. For me and myself, I don't want critical race theory taught because, for one, the name critical race theory, racism isn't a theory. It happens. It's still happening to this day. And secondly, I think that it'll weaponize. It's going to be weaponized. They're going to take the true stories, and they will twist them around, usually to make them seem as if it wasn't that bad or it was a fair trade or something weird like that. So I don't think that we should teach that in high school or school, like the grade schools, because your brain is just still developing. You're not even really worried about those things just yet in that age and time. As far as like a college student that can critically think, because they've gotten they've gotten some life experience, they've went through some things in life, and they can critically come up with their own conclusion about what a teacher is saying, rather than just someone that's in grade school and they just listen to the teacher and regurgitate everything the teacher says, because for so many years we've just been taught to feel and think that teachers are right, when all the time teachers aren't right. I mean, damn, some of those teachers are still teaching that Columbus sailed the sea and he discovered America. So yeah, I don't want to teach something. I don't want those teachers teaching something that's so sensitive as critical race theory. So yeah, was my stand. So I don't want nobody going back and saying, oh, well, you bagging back. No, listen to what I was saying. I'm bagging back, not on how I feel about critical race theory. I still don't think that it should get taught. I think that Black people should teach Black people about critical race theory, and only Black people should be teaching critical race theory, because they ain't gonna lie about the shit. They're not gonna lie about the history of their people. Not saying that white people would, but if I had to choose which one, probably wouldn't be a white person. No offense to white people, but yeah, I don't want y'all teaching critical race theory. And even just the curriculum in itself, because a lot of these teachers don't really come up with their own curriculum. It's already in a package, and they just choose the way that they want to teach the things that's already in the curriculum. So it's not much, free thinking there. It's just someone came up with a curriculum and you teach it how you want to. Now, however you teach it, that's how you teach it. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back into the main point. The main point is, I think that I'm going to have to walk back my stance on critical race theory because of all the ignorance of people that really don't understand how systematic racism affects us till this day. And if I am going to walk back my stance on critical race theory, I think that in the first 3 years, the first trial of this critical race theory thing, there should only be about 2 books and 5 movies that we should be watching in school. And the first one is this book right here. It's called Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. It's a book this is the summary of it. It tracks slavery and Jim Crow public policies that used Black labor to construct a superpower nation. It details how Black people were socially engineered into the lower levels of a real-life monopoly game, which they are neither playing or winning. So, yes, this book literally explains how white people stole wealth from Black people, but not only stole it, but created laws so that they can keep it within their family, within their culture, and essentially make Black people either pay for it or never get it back ever again at all. And it also explains like why and how reparations should be given to Black people and why they should be given to Black people and how the government can do that. So that's one of the good books. I got that on my list right now for my Christmas list, of books that I'm going to get, because I'm stop watching so much damn TV. I started back watching TV, and I've been watching F is for Family. I really like that. I like to laugh. It's not much stuff that makes me laugh, but yeah, I like to laugh. The second book that I suggest for this critical race theory curriculum is Medical Apartheid by Harriet A. Washington. This is the summary right here. From the era of slavery to present day, starting with the earliest encounters between Black Americans and Western medical researchers and the racist pseudoscience that resulted, medical apartheid details the ways both slavery and free men were used in hospitals from experiments conducted without their knowledge, a tradition that continues today within some Black populations. Now, I'm not going to go off the handle because one of my videos got taken down because I said this word, but we all know what word I'm talking about, and it starts with a C and it ends with the number 9. Well, what have been the main focus of that disease this for today is that, well, black people, need to get it. I mean, they made a whole song for black people, vax that ass up. You a big fine woman, won't you vax that ass up? I can't believe he went out and did that shit. But yeah, what has been the main focus since this whole thing started is that black people are the ones that are more susceptible to the disease or the virus. Black people are the one that's more hesitant to get the what, and black people are at higher risk of getting the virus. So that's one of them. That's just a very low tier one. That's actually one that's happening present day. But I also looked up something because I'm also a person that really didn't believe that it's that deep. People take an oath to be in the medical field, and I'm thinking that they're taking that oath to help. I'm not really thinking whether they white, black, Mexican, Chinese, whatever, that they're in there to intentionally hurt someone, like to intentionally be racist in the system. But they're not doing it intentionally. They're actually doing it unintentionally because of the practices that they practice. The studies that they learned are studies that were done in the 19th century, which still is practiced till this day. And I looked up an excerpt, and here it is right here. This was a study done from the St. Catherine's University. It's called the Case Study in Implicit Bias Pain Treatment. Well-documented studies show patients with darker skin tones of all ages receive lower dosage of pain medication compared with white patients in the United States. One cause for this inequality is unconscious racial bias that originated in the era of chattel slavery. In a 2016 study, many white medical students surveyed wrongly assumed that black patients had a higher pain tolerance compared with white patients. According to studies by the Proceeding of National Academics of Science of the United States of America, cited by Medical News Today, when asked to provide justification for their decisions to offer less pain medication, these medical students repeated unsubstantial misconceptions that black people had thicker skin or less sensitive nerve endings. These biased beliefs can be tracked back to racist doctors in the 19th century who used these facts about people of color to justify violence and unethical medical testing on slaves. So there you have it right there. Like, yeah, something so old is still practiced to this day. That was in 2016. It's 2021. Like, you think that just went away just because someone said it? That's why I don't, but it's not that I don't believe in a lot of science. I just know that a lot of scientists have been compromised. So yeah. And that book shows, like I said, medical practices that are still practiced to this day that were practiced in slavery. You seen the excerpt, you read it. So I'll link that in the description if I ever find it, because I actually don't even know where that is anymore because I had everything set up and now it's just all gone. But yeah. And the last but least, I think that schools should be watching Hidden Colors. If we're going to do this whole critical race theory, Hidden Colors 1 through 5. Now, it's by a guy named Tariq Nasheed. I watch a lot of his stuff. I enjoy a lot of his content. Yeah, he's good. He's golden. So we should be watching those as well. And the Hidden Colors document, which is right here, is a document about the real and untold history of people of color around the globe. This film discusses some of the reasons the contributions of African and original people have been left out of the pages of history. So he also just recently wrote a book called the Black American Race Baiter. And I don't think that book should be for critical theory. If you want to go out and go get it yourself, then yeah, I'm definitely gonna, get it. But as far as Hidden Colors 1 through 5, yeah, they need to be watching them. Just like we were watching Bill Nye the Science Guy back in the days, this needs to be one of those DVDs that we watch, And he also did a movie called Buck Breaking. Now, I don't think that should be seen in school, maybe. And if it is shown in school, I think that it should be 12th grade. You're a little bit more mature at that age to soak in the information about what was being done to black men back in the days and how it affects black men to this day, even black women. Yeah, I think that's a good one. But yeah, I don't know about 9th through 11th grade, maybe. But hey, I could be wrong. It's never too early to learn about, real history. But yeah, I think that those are the 3 things that we should all be learning about and listening to and reading if we're going to entertain this thought of critical race theory. Because a lot of people think that things like white supremacy and systematic racism and being racist is just the lower tier stuff, like someone white calling someone black a nigga. That's really not it. It's way deeper than that. It's a system that was essentially set up so that white people can keep black people and people of color at the slave level. So at the very bottom, you will never create wealth within your generation. That's what the system of white supremacy is. That we keep this all. We always talk about how capitalism is destroying America. Well, white supremacy is the ultimate capitalist to, like, crony capitalist to black people, because it doesn't allow black people to create wealth within their community or their family or any of that. You just go out and you work and that's it. That's all, So yeah, I really think that I'm kind of missed the mark with the critical race theory conversation. And, for people that think that, because I got a lot of back and forth about this, is that, oh, black people whining again. Oh, black people thinking they're special. Oh, black people, well, we are special. It's something about us that I still to this day, and I said it last podcast, I still think that it's something that the government or whoever, the elites, the government, the devil, I don't know even what to call them no more, do not want black people to know about themselves. They don't want us to get to this higher consciousness of ourselves, which is really crazy. I don't know what it is. And if you was a white person and if I was a white person and someone black was telling me all of these crazy things that was happening to black people, and I still thought that it was going on till this day, I would think that they were crazy. Because how crazy is it for the government to only be after one group? Just one group? So they ain't after nobody else, just y'all. And it sounds crazy, but it's not. They really are after just one group of people. And here's the proof, just to even let you know that they definitely are, bro. After one group of people. Here we go, right here. Okay, boom, right there. Okay, so this is a FBI goal set assessment, for COINTELPRO. If you know what COINTELPRO is, it was something that was set into place to diffuse, like, the black rioter, like, not black rioters, but the rise of black people. Because back in that day, a lot of black people like Muhammad Ali, not Muhammad Ali, but Elijah Muhammad, all those Muhammads, man. Y'all gotta change your name to something else, man. But Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, those type of people, they were getting a lot of friction. They were bringing black people together and trying to get black people on that, hey, we ain't singing and dancing and shucking and jiving no more. We about to get up in this thing. We about to start creating some wealth, and white people ain't about to get ready to stand in our way no more. And here's the proof right here. I'm only going to read just the second part, the one that's highlighted, because I'm not going to read all of this. I'm not really that good at reading, as y'all can see. Prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. Malcolm X might have been such a good messiah. He is a martyr of the movement today. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all aspire to this position. Elijah Muhammad is less of a threat because of his age. King could be a very real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrine, nonviolence, and embrace black nationalism. Carmichael has the necessary charisma to be a real threat in this way. So yeah, they're not. Those are all black men that they're talking about. All of those are black men that back in that day were making real moves for black people to not expire, but to aspire and to get on their stuff, to leave white people where they're at and create their own wealth and their own ways in this world and get away from the system that's oppressing them. That was something wrote by J. Edgar Hoover. That was under J. Edgar Hoover's presidency. And that's FBI files. You can go look that up. That's FBI files, So this isn't just something that was just said. This was something that was documented and put into FBI files and was a real plan to keep black people exactly where they're at. Don't let these people rise to a level beyond what we have them at. As long as, we're integrating them and, we giving them crumbs of what, we have, keep them there. Don't let them get the whole loaf of bread. And it's really interesting that he said Messiah towards a black man. He didn't say any of those people that was of a different ethnicity. He didn't say white. He didn't say Chinese. He didn't say brown. He said a black Messiah because in so many words he did. All of those people that he was talking about were black. And he could have said anything else, and he didn't. He could have used chief. He could have used boss. He could have used leader, but he chose the word Messiah. I mean, I don't want to be that person that's like, all religious and get off on a religious standpoint, but who else were they calling Messiah? Who else has hair of wool, feet of bronze? Who else we all waiting to come back? Y'all ain't ready for that conversation. So I ain't even going to go into it. The whole main point that I'm trying to bring about is slavery and racism and systematic racism and white supremacy didn't go anywhere. It just rebranded itself. That's it. That's all. And it's our job as black people to continue to keep our foot on their neck about these issues so that white supremacy just don't keep growing. Racism doesn't just keep growing. Systematic racism just doesn't keep growing. Go ahead and put that weed eater right on white supremacy. Leave it dead because it's not even dead yet. We're just now trying to kill it off. So I've also not created, but because I was going back and forth with all these people online all last week, it's just gotten to the point where I'm not arguing with any more white people that just really don't even understand that this is still out here. These things are still out here. And I've I've categorized them into different spectrums of dusty whites that perpetuate, supremacy. And here they are right here on the screen. So you got your lower tier dusty, a person that is a pun and believes that they are better just because they're white. Usually they don't benefit from white supremacy at all because they live in the same conditions as the black people that they talking about. They usually judge black people based off of, stereotypes and behind the scenes, they don't know it, but they're called trailer trash by white people that are higher than them. And then you got the middle tier dusty, a person that usually claims that they are colorblind, but it's always in bad faith. It's always, when it comes to the Cow Rittenhouse, trials and stuff of that nature. And they almost always act as if the law in all situations are fair. And these people are usually always trying to show you some stats. They the stats people. They always bring out some stats, not even knowing that all of those stats are wrote by the government, so it's like, why are you showing me something that the government controls? You think that the government is going to put out any bad information about, if I'm a white supremacist, I'm not going to put out any bad information about white people. So the stat people are always like the funniest to me when it comes to like the middle tier dusties. They also benefit from white supremacy somewhat, promotion at work that they know they shouldn't be getting, lower interest rates on homes, they don't get pulled over by the cops as much, And the funny thing about the middle tier dusties is some of these people even know that white supremacy exists and they benefit from it and they don't want to say anything because they don't want to give up their privilege. And then you got your high tier dusty, a person that is fully aware that white supremacy exists, benefits from it fully, acknowledge it are in a position to change it, but doesn't plan to do anything to change it. They're usually, your politicians, your high-paid actors, your high-paid athletes, major media owners, people that work on the network, those people. So I want people to notice that I said persons. I didn't say white people because at this point in the game, it's also black people that are white dusties. They are Mexicans that are white dusties. There's Chinese people that are white dusties. It's these tier of white dusties are just people that perpetuates the movement of white supremacy. They benefit from it in some type of way and they keep it going instead of standing up and saying something, so those are my definitions. I hope that you pass that around so that we can get the word out so that we don't have to keep arguing about this. Because honestly, I'm just tired of arguing about this. Yes, racism exists. Yes, white supremacy exists. Yes, systematic oppression exists. So let's get over it and let's get away from those labels too. I've gotten caught up in labels as well, and they are basically used to just divide us, especially in the black community. You got men fighting with women, you got boys fighting against girls, you got straight people fighting against gay people, you got gay people fighting against trans people, you got Democrats fighting against Republicans, and at the end of the day, we all black. We're black before we're any of those labels. And like I said, myself, have been caught up in labels. I'm a gay woman. I was standing up for gay people. I was doing this, doing that for gay people. But I had to start realizing that some of those agendas, whether it's a Democrat agenda, a Republican agenda, because you label yourself as such, then you get caught up in the whole narrative and the rhetoric and the talking points of those people, and the agenda that's being pushed is not good for black people, whether even if you're a Democrat and it's a Democrat, plan, but you're a Democrat, so you think that it's good. But in realization, it's really not. If you really look through it, it's really not. Or it's a Republican agenda, and you're like, well, I'm a Republican, so I'm riding with my Republicans because everything that Republicans do are good. No, because some of those plans that Republicans have aren't good for the whole of black people. And that's why not getting too deep into your label is important. Like, it's okay to be a black Republican. It's okay to be a black Democrat. It's okay to be a black gay person. But just know at the end of the day, you're black. They see you as a black person. Like, if you walk inside of a store, nobody ain't saying, oh, they're a Republican. Or, oh, they're a Democrat, or, oh, they're gay. I mean, to this day, it's men dressing like women and women dressing like men, myself included. And they don't know exactly that you're gay. It might just be the new fashion of the season this year. But they know for sure you black. So I think that, we need to get away from them labels, get away from just riding so hard the tribalism of these labels that we get caught up into. Sha'Carri Richardson just got through having to tell her fan base, hey, if you don't like what I say on my social media, F off. Because this is my social media, and I'm a black woman first, and I'm an athlete second. Ain't no more people like that that's just out here riding for us like that. We had Muhammad Ali. We had a couple more athletes that were riding like that was just solely, I'm black. I'm black and I'm going to do everything black, and because we got away from that. We got away from the first label that we're supposed to be defending ultimately, which is our race. Because then you got people like OJ that was like, well, I'm not black, I'm OJ. And it's like, yeah, okay. Until your ass got caught up with that white girl and her ass had your ass on trial and you about to go to jail. And so, I feel like at this point, black people, we really don't have the luxury to be colorblind or to be defending any label except being black. If the label that you riding for isn't protecting your rights or your values or anything that's for the good of black people, then protect black first. I think that I've even had to start being like, okay, let me just start being like, I'm a black gay woman, putting the black first instead of I'm a gay black woman. Now I'm a black gay woman, as words are important, rhetoric is important. Putting the black before gay is important. Putting the black before feminist is important. Putting the black even before woman is important. Because all women aren't treated the same. All gay people aren't treated the same. All feminists aren't treated the same. But you know what? All black people are treated the same. So, let's go ahead and get away from those labels. They're definitely dividing us, and it's bad. We all need to come together and realize that, we just all black. It don't matter if you trans, it don't matter if you gay, it don't matter if you Democrat, Republican, we all together in this. And if it's not about no solid black agenda, we ain't riding for it. I'll still be I'll still be gay. I'll still be Democrat. I'll still be Republican, conservative, liberal, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's black first. And speaking getting away from labels, because this one's kind of crazy. It was a clip that came about on Fly Nubian Queen Network, and I don't know the young lady's name, but she addressed in some way address that the LGBT community should be standing up and saying something. Well, challenge accepted, because I've been fighting this fight and saying a lot about this for a very long time now. For a very long time, I have been saying this. And I'm glad that now it's getting out to the forefront, because it kind of almost seems as if the LGBT community, I know that we're fighting it at the grassroots level, but the mainstream media, they don't ever say anything. They just always kind of paint the picture like, oh, we're all accepting and all we need everybody that's, of some weird sexual fantasy off in our group. Nope, we ain't saying that. Nope. We do age consent around here. Okay, so Allyn Walker is a professor at Old Dominion University whose research into adults who are sexually attracted to minors drew protests and threats, has agreed to step down. Walker and the school announced in a joint statement Wednesday. Walker, an assistant professor of sociology and criminal justice, have been placed on administrative leave November 16th. They now will remain on leave until the expiration of their current contract in May. Walker's research into minor attracted people and their use of that term have been met with an outcry from students and others online who claim that such language destigmatizes sex offenders. Walker has maintained that their work has intended to better understand would-be sex offenders and prevent child sexual abuse. That research has mischaracterized some in the media and online, partly on the bias of my trans identity. Walker said in a statement Wednesday, as a result, multiple threats were made against me and the campus community generally. He's also a writer of a book that he just put out, A Long Dark Shadow: Minor Attracted People and Their Pursuit of Dignity, published in June, challenges widespread assumptions that persons who are preferentially attracted to minors, often refers to as pedophiles, are necessarily also predators and sex offenders, according to the University of California Press. So yeah, man, this guy right here is kind of crazy. I only have a couple of things to go over with this, because it really is a crazy thing to think about. And like I said, I have been going over this because if you follow the tea leaves of where the world is going, you'll get exactly what I've been saying, which is here right now, is that they are using the LGBT community as the Trojan horse for pedophilia. Not saying that gay people are pedophiles. I'm saying that they're using us, because I'm in the LGBT community too. They're using our movement of getting rights, being treated equally, being a person that is safe in this world, and they're pushing in pedophilia with it. How, you might ask? Well, after I show this video, I'll tell you.
So could you talk about why you used that term in the title and throughout the book?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for that question. I use the term minor attracted person, or M.A.P., in the title and throughout the book for multiple reasons. First of all, because I think it's important to use terminology for groups that members of that group want others to use for them. And M.A.P. advocacy groups like Before You Act have advocated for use of the term M.A.P. They've advocated for it primarily because it's less stigmatizing than other terms like pedophile. A lot of people, when they hear the term pedophile, they automatically assume that it means a sex offender. And that isn't true, and it leads to a lot of misconceptions about attractions toward minors. I've definitely heard the idea that you brought up, though, that the use of the term minor attracted person suggests that it's okay to be attracted to children. But using a term that communicates who someone is attracted to doesn't indicate anything about the morality of that attraction. From my perspective, there is no morality or immorality attached to attraction to anyone, because no one can control who they're attracted to at all. In other words, it's not who we're attracted to that's either okay or not okay. It's our behaviors in responding to that attraction that are either okay or not okay. And I want to be extremely clear that child sexual abuse is never, ever okay. But having an attraction to minors, as long as it isn't acted on, doesn't mean that the person who has those attractions is doing something wrong.
Okay, so y'all seen that clip, and I mean, I'm not gonna go too hard on them. Well, yes, I am. I just have a couple of questions because I'm trying to understand why he thinks that it's okay to call someone that's attracted to children something other than what it actually is, which is a pedophile. So in the beginning of the 1 minute clip, he brought up that it's important to call them what they feel comfortable being called rather than the stigmatizing word, which is a pedophile. So instead of calling them a pedophile, call them M.A.Ps, which is minor attracting person. Okay. Who has been having that rhetoric for the last 3 or 4 years? Who's been fighting that fight for the last 3 or 4 years? Well, trans people, which are in the LGBT community. You know, they've been saying, call us women once we transition. Even, you know, the non-binary, which is in the LGBT community, call me they, them. So he's using the same rhetoric that the LGBT uses to get respect once they either transition or come to some epiphany that they don't want to be called the label at all, you know, which is okay for the LGBT community because we're not doing it in bad faith like these guys are. These guys are trying to take the stigmatization away from the fact that they like kids. We just trying to be comfortable in our own bodies and in our own world that we've created for ourselves. Not saying that everybody got to be comfortable with it or call us that or whatever, you know, but no, I'm not calling someone that is clearly attracted to kids something other than a pedophile. That's not going to happen. And then, so that's very dangerous. That if you're in the LGBT community, that's very dangerous. He's using the same rhetoric that we use to make ourselves feel comfortable. And he's trying to give it to pedophiles. So let's stand up because it's happening. It's happening. I've been saying this since episode 1 of An Hour with Crowder, that eventually, because we accepted this rhetoric from trans people, which is okay because they're not trying to touch little kids, eventually it will roll over into some 35-year-old man that feels like a 13-year-old boy, and he feels like, you know, he should go to school, and he feels like it's okay to do this, and then we'll give them laws and all this stuff and everything. And everybody keeps saying, oh, no, that's never going to happen because it's kids. Yeah, not now. But yeah, because we've already opened Pandora box for the LGBT community, and we didn't stop it right where it was, where it started getting a little bit crazy, where we got to start calling people them, they, and them. We didn't stop it there. You know, we just kind of let it keep rolling. And now we have this situation where we might possibly have to start calling known pedophiles that think about kids in their mind sexually M.A.Ps, because it hurts their feelings when we call them pedophiles, which is exactly what they are. And then another thing is that, like, okay, M.A.Ps, it means minor attracted person. And then I looked up the definition for pedophile, which is a person that's attracted to underage people. So my question is, what's the difference? What's actually the difference? One is the acronym and one is the like the whole word of it. I don't know. But remember when we had all of those derogatory like words for the LGBT community, which was the F word for gay boys, and then the D word for lesbian women, and then the T word for transitioning women or men. And now, guess what? We're going to have this new one, which is M.A.Ps for pedophiles. And like I said, you're not going to be able to call them pedophiles anymore because we've already accepted too much. We've already accepted too much. So, and then Allyn, he states that there's nothing moral or immoral about someone being attracted to kids because they haven't acted on the feelings yet, which is really weird thing to say because as a sociology professor, he should know about cognitive behavior. Cognitive behavior is the thing, like it's an exercise. It's not an exercise, but cognitive behavior deals with how your mind thinks. So when I was in prison, when I got out, then I had to take a cognitive behavior class because they had to figure out why is it that you feel like you have to do drugs, or why does it feel like you have to rob people or steal or whatever? Why do you feel that you have to do these things? So what do? They dig deep inside of your psyche and they try to figure out what was the thing that made you snap? What was the thing that makes you justify that this is an okay thing to do? So with cognitive behavior, if it's negative, then your therapist or your doctor tries to make you catch that negative thought before it becomes a negative action. And this is totally a negative action. Thinking about little kids is a negative thought process. So if you think about it for way too long, you're going to do it. But it's not just bad enough that you think about it. You got Allyn Walker right here telling you that it's okay to think about it as long as you don't act on it. As long as you don't act on it, it's okay. So how messed up of a, society is this gonna be when you have doctors and people that's teaching sociology, that teaching the younger generation that as long as you are a M.A.P. and you're a person that haven't offended or you haven't went through with the act, it's okay to think about it. Well, everybody knows that if you think about something for too long, you're eventually going to do it. If I think about doing my choice of drug too long, it doesn't matter how long I've been clean. I'm gonna do it. So I just think that that's very dangerous for someone, which I'm so glad that he rightfully stepped down, because you don't need to be teaching the younger generation about M.A.Ps and about accepting pedophiles off in society. Like, no, it's not okay to think about kids. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's began to be Pandora's box. We've created this society where as long as you ain't hurting nobody, then you can do what you want. You could be who you want. You could eat what you want. You could do whatever. And then my whole thing is let's just entertain the thought. It's fucking 4,025 right now. It's 4,025. Everybody can do whatever they want to as long as they ain't hurting nobody and hurting the environment. Whatever. Let's just entertain the thought that M.A.Ps begin to be a social, sexual orientation. Okay, so my question would be about people that are M.A.Ps. Okay, what do you do after the kid is an adult? After the kid is of age? What happens? Because you're a person that's a minor attracted person. You're only attracted to minors. So let's just say that, for whatever fucking reason, the parents, give you their kid. Kids can have consent at 13 now and everything. What happens when that kid grows up? Do you stay with them when they're 18, when they're 21, when they're 25? No, you don't, because you're a person that's sexually attracted to minors. So what do? You just keep getting 13-year-olds? So yeah, you probably need to go and fix yourself, because this isn't right. This isn't accepted in the LGBT community. We have fought this off from as early as, I can remember. I remember, and I might have to find that clip so that I can insert it off in here. But I remember it was a parade where they had like the blue and the pink. It was like a man lover boy club. It was what was that group? I can't remember what that group is named, but it's called like Man Lover. It's NAMBLA. National Man Lover Boy Association, something like that. And those guys went to a LGBT protest, or not a protest, but a march. And those gay people got them up out of there. They got them up out of there because we've come to the conclusion that, we're not accepting that often here. We are attracted to people of age, and you're not about to slide in our community and use us as the Trojan horse for pedophilia. And that's a real group. National Man Lover Boy Association. They got a magazine and everything, and the government still ain't shut them down. That's how I really feel like the government is doing this, because there's no way that I can have rob a nigga club. I can't have a group where I constantly talk about robbing people and how to do it and when to do it and what's the best time to do it, and the government ain't trying to come in and shut it down. But you have the National Man Boy Lover Association, and they got a whole magazine out. And the only thing that's keeping them away from being in jail is the fact that they haven't committed a crime yet. So crazy. But yeah, man, that's the things that's going on today up in the world. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here because, I got to clip and edit this thing for you guys. But yeah, follow me on An Hour with Crowder on Instagram and Facebook. Crowder the Great on Twitter. Follow all of my streaming platforms on Google, Apple Play, YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. I'm out.